Chiefs win Super Bowl 58. And man, what a fun game to talk about, because it had so many moments. Big moments is where this thing kind of happened, right? Where you realize San Francisco at one point could have probably put this game away. They didn't. You're probably like me. The longer that the game went on and they didn't put it away, the more assured you became that Kansas City would come back, because at some point the ball would be in the hands of the best player in the National Football League with a chance to win the game, and he was going to make those plays, and he did. And that's where we stand today, having seen Kansas City lock in another one. And now think about this. Tom, I was thinking about this the other day, and even during the course of this game, I thought about it a little bit. If Kansas City were to go on and come back and win the game in particular, you and I have been on the air together a long time. I'm going back a ways ago, too, with me and Matt. And I always talked about I liked being on the air for greatness. And I like, in a lifetime, I want to be an old man someday and talk to my grandkids about the best athletes that you ever saw, and the best and most famous dynasties, and comparing and contrasting all those, because I've watched as my own kids now come of age and play sports and ask questions about the greatest players I've ever seen and the greatest dynasties I've ever witnessed. And they do it in basketball. They do it in the NFL. They do it for college football, obviously. And, when you have a run like the NFL did with a few really elite quarterbacks lasting as long as they did, I recall a specific conversation that you and I had about all those guys kind of getting out of the game relatively around the same time, and who was going to take over, because we were having to face the retirement or the rumored retirement annually of Tom Brady. Of course, you had that with Drew Brees in New Orleans. People talked of him in that same capacity. Big Ben in Pittsburgh. People talk, and obviously that was all right after Peyton Manning was also retiring. You had that. I know Andrew Luck wasn't the same player, but he was a dominant player and an MVP caliber player. So all these quarterbacks were going away, is the point. And they said, in essence, who's going to take their place? And when you think there's going to be a dearth, there's not going to be somebody. Well, guess what? There's always somebody. There's always going to be somebody coming down the pike that you can look at and say, well, that's the best player in the game now. But then is there going to be one that separates himself from that select group? Well, we have him. It's Patrick Mahomes. That's who it is. This is a guy now who's third in playoff wins all time. He's third in playoff wins all time. Dude is 28. He's been a starter for 6 years. 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 titles won, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 NFL MVPs. And thank goodness for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating that ass and doing what everybody else couldn't. Or else he'd have another one on that list and would be knocking on Brady's door for at least the New England championships. It's crazy to think about that. But it's definitely Patrick Mahomes.
It was an interesting game because there's a lot of bad football, a lot of bad decision making, a whole bunch of stuff that you can second guess for the first half and 5 minutes of the third quarter. Mm-hmm. Mistakes, the fumbles, going in for scores on multiple drives for either team. What San Francisco did not do with an early opportunity in the third quarter, up 10-3.
Story of the game. You could just stop there. You don't even have to say specific to that quarter. Just story of the game is what San Francisco did not do when given the opportunity to win the Super Bowl. There are multitudes of examples where they could have, in retrospect, won the Super Bowl but didn't.
Oh, well, I forget who said it during the halftime show, and I felt like that was the longest one in the history of the NFL. That one felt like it was 30, 40 minutes. They're winning both lines of scrimmage, and they were. San Francisco was winning both lines of scrimmage in the first half, and they had a 1 touchdown lead to show for it. You get the ball in plus territory, and you don't give it to Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's incredible. And then they didn't the next drive. Was the field position is good? No, but they were close to the 40-yard line on their own side, and the same thing happened. So by the time you hand it to them on first down in their third drive of the second half, Kansas City knows what's coming. So it was all out of sequence. Mahomes wasn't that great until he was great down the stretch. It was an interesting Super Bowl, and the finish was great. But the first half, there was a lot of mistakes more than there were plays being made by either side.
It's if you're San Francisco today, like you can choose to focus on, either side of this. Obviously, the one I wanted to lead with was Mahomes now, who has these accolades that are obviously akin to the greatest of all time. And he's now entering into these kind of conversations that change. This is where you get into legacy conversations. And I typically loathe those conversations, but he's kicked down the door and entered the room because now here's 3 titles. He's been to 4 Super Bowls and obviously has 6 years as a starter. That's insane. And to do it in a year where they weren't great. That's the thing about it. Kansas City didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. Kansas City didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher. Kansas City led the National Football League in drops. Kansas City committed the most amount of offensive penalties of any team in the NFL. They did a lot of things not very well. We were burying them around Christmas. They got blown out by the Raiders' sorry ass. I mean, they were, I know the score got a little closer there at the end, but they were dominated. I mean, the Raiders kind of just ran the ball. It was like Michigan against Penn State. Just doing, I'm just going to run the ball on every play in the second half because you can't stop it. And they couldn't. So they were flawed. They were terribly flawed. And they were going to have to go on the road. And first they win the game against Miami, which, okay, you get some credit there, but Miami's beat up and it's like minus 57 degrees. So I don't care about that win. But going on the road to beat Buffalo and Baltimore, and then this was a game effort from San Francisco last night. San Francisco's defense all playoffs has been terrible, but they were very, very, very good for 3.5 quarters in this game. And they still, just your aching ass if you're a San Francisco fan today because you had everything you needed. But in particular, if you're Kyle Shanahan, that dude needs a hug today. Think about that guy now in his career. He's lost 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. We're up 10 in both games. Marriott with the 28-3 collapse as OC in Atlanta. And he's been on the wrong end of some brutal losses. And there's always a stretch. I said to you today off the air, whenever I get done watching a 49ers game or a Shanahan coach game, I always end up saying the same thing over and over and over again. I'm always kind of like, and my mantra with him, I always end up saying, run the ball for starters, and then call timeouts before the end of halves and put yourself in a better position, please. Could you stop being so scared before the end of halves? Those 2 conversations happen every time. Now, that's not to say the guy won't win one and that he's not good. He has been good, but he hasn't been able to get over the hump. And there's always this thing that you can attach where you go, my man. So they come out in the second half and they throw the ball 6 consecutive times. So in back-to-back possessions, 3 and out, all throws. Other than Mahomes, McCaffrey's the best player on the field. What are you doing? Give the guy the ball. It's bizarre. And I don't know if the fumble spooked him. I think the fumble spooked him, but that's silly. You can't get spooked there.
No, it's McCaffrey. He's the best player on the field for you. When those 22 are on the field, when you have the ball, McCaffrey's the best player. And he forgot that in plus territory with
Always the chance. Always does.
It's a bad sequence of football, too, because you have Reed and the coaching staff for the Eagles. Listen to me going way back in the day. Coaching staff for the Chiefs. Missing on the first down, the poor spot. They don't challenge it. They use a timeout. And the whole world is assuming that the timeout is a challenge, and it wasn't. And then he gets it to 4th and half an inch, and he decides to punt it. I'm like, oh, my God. So between what Shanahan's doing, what Reed did, I'm thinking, this is like one of the most poorly coached 5 to 7 minute sequences of Super Bowl football I've ever seen. But then the game takes on a life of its own as it goes into the second half, and you just knew, everybody felt it, that when the extra point was blocked, that was going to come back and be a humongous deal, and it was.
I do want to say, by the way, you could get, after those 2 3 and outs, remember San Francisco is still leading the game, you could get the Chiefs at plus 285, down 7 at that point. You can get them at plus 285, and when San Fran goes empty there on those 2 possessions and your head coach has lost his mind, in a similar situation to Monken losing his mind in Baltimore, where it's like they have some sort of hex. Like the fear of Kansas City creates mind numbness for otherwise talented OCs who somehow forget you're allowed to run the ball in those situations. I don't know how it happens, but it does. And that speaks to a level of desperation and perhaps the greatness of what you're facing. But you have those 6 consecutive passes in the third quarter and you get nothing to show for it. 2 3-and-outs to begin, and you can get the Chiefs right there at plus 285. Little pizza money went helping offset those things. By the way, we don't want to forget that Spagnuolo was awesome again. The Chiefs DC is a beast. But go back to this, and really we're probably burying the lead here, because in a game filled with moments that you felt like those were tilting the outcome or what was going to become the outcome, how about 3rd and 5, coming up on the 2-minute warning, you get a first down, you win the game. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
You get a first down, you win the game.
And they brought the house. And you could, in that situation, run the ball twice. You could say, I'm giving it to Christian McCaffrey twice.
If you're playing 4-down football, you say, I have 2 downs to get 4 or 5 yards here to win the Super Bowl. And you have to know that he's going to blitz.
Yeah.
They did on 51% of his dropbacks, the highest percentage in Spagnuolo's career. It's a 0 blitz every time. It was 3rd down every time. That's exactly what they did. It's damn it, man. So there's that. But you do have to acknowledge that, being allowed to stick around for 3.5 quarters is one way of phrasing it. The other way is that Kansas City's defense won them the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And every big game this year, I know the tendency when you have a future Hall of Famer at quarterback, we did this with Brady, we've done it with every great quarterback, is to give the credit, to lavish the praise on the quarterback. But the only reason you're in the game to have the opportunity in the fourth quarter after the missed opportunities by the Niners is because of the Kansas City defense. That and a little bad luck, man. I think if you're Kyle today, you think back, really? A punt's going to hit an up man's foot in the Super Bowl, and we're in total domination mode. Kansas City can't move the ball to save their life. You're going to have the ball back with mere minutes to play in the third quarter. You have possession up by 4, and instead you give up. You just gave 6 points. 7. Frustrating.
Yeah. First play, double team Kelsey, wide open in the middle. Yeah, and matriculate the ball is what Kansas City did. It's kind of remarkable. 2 things. So they get down and they've got a chance to go win the game in regulation. And he's only zeroing in on 87 in that situation on the left sideline. He's got Rashee Rice over the middle for a touchdown. And Rashee looks like he's ready to vomit. That's when they kick his eye up.
He's also angry and showing his ass on the sideline to one of the greatest players of all time. If I'm Mahomes, I'm like, okay, son, This is the last time we'll ever do this. But anyhow.
That's one thing. Secondly, in overtime, it's remarkable that it's 2 possessions last the whole overtime period. And that's incredible.
It is crazy.
Took that long, and they've got a key 4th and 1 conversion. It's a Mahomes run. He was their best runner all night, obviously.
Led the team in running, yes.
So that particular play call, we run. I thought that was really cool. That's the play from 4th down in Clemson in the second quarter, where Jaheim Bell, there's an outlet to Jaheim Bell, and Jordan's. It's a read option. It's the same play. That's how they convert. And when they get down, the crazy part about that is that overtime took forever, and it felt inevitable what was coming. But then when the play happens, it happens so fast. It was almost like the moment it went this quick. It's building up and building up and building up, and you're waiting for this crescendo. You're like, oh, he's wide open. That's it. And that's the play they ran twice against the Eagles last year. Same play.
Yeah, it's again, it's easy. I know in the moment, I didn't get a chance to talk to you last night, but on the drive, so remember, they also have a 2nd and 4 in the overtime. The Niners have a 2nd and 4 from the Chiefs' 9. We forget about that. A 2nd and 4 from the Chiefs' 9. There's so many chances for them to win the Super Bowl, and they just couldn't do it or put themselves in a position to win the Super Bowl. They never could make the play when they had to make the play. One play. Any of these sequences, even on defense, just any of these moments where you got to get a stop or a first down. Couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. 2nd and 4 at the KC 9 in overtime. You know, for the world, 49er fans thought they were about to score a touchdown there. And I don't care that he took the ball first in the overtime. His defense was completely gassed. The new rules didn't even really come into play, but he knew that either way they were going to get a possession. So I really don't care that he took the ball there. I don't have any problem with that. There isn't any of the analytics that say it was a bad move either.
No, agreed there. I like that if you stayed up to read some of the clippings and all that kind of stuff, because the game took forever. So I don't blame anybody if they didn't watch the post-game interviews. But Kansas City was always going to end the game with their first possession in overtime. So even if
they were going to go for two,
they were going to go for two. They were going to go for two. So that was the whole thing was, this one possession is going to be it. And they prepped it during Super Bowl week because they knew the rule changes. They knew if they got to overtime, they're going to, even if they had won the toss, they're going to give the ball away. They want the game to end with their offense on the field, knowing what they need. Do you need a kick or do you need a touchdown? And obviously they got it. But again, Kansas City's offense is the worst it's going to be this year, right here, right now in Mahomes' tenure. They're not going to be that poor at wide receiver ever again. Never again in Mahomes' tenure. And he still got it done. And he still got it done and won a Super Bowl.
That's what I mean. Yeah. The problem, Tom, for everybody else is that defense is really young, and they're the best coverage unit in the National Football League. Gave up the fewest amount of yards to wide receiver ones across the league. That's what they do. I mean, that's maybe why we thought we'd see Kittle with a bigger game, because you knew they would take away the 49ers wide receivers, but Kittle didn't do a damn thing. Had the one conversion catch on the fourth down that I was surprised he went for. In fact, I would have argued not to go for that one, but he did and got it. And I was like, well, look at you, Kyle. Somebody got your headset. Really quickly, just want to note a Monday sale. I don't know what you guys are doing for Valentine's Day, but if you're staying in with your significant other, then my friends at Social Kitchen have you covered right now. It's an every Monday sort of deal here, but it's a special one this week. It's an exclusive offer for you guys sticking around. $5 discount per pound on any of their expertly hand-cut steaks. I wish I could show you this picture. I guess I could flash it there. Those are the steaks. They're really good. I went and got some yesterday or 2 days ago, and they're really, really good, and grilled them last night. It's steak selection showcases certified Angus beef, prime or higher. They take pride in presenting the American Wagyu from Snake River Farms. It's succulent. It is awesome. It is worth it. Stop by there. Their store hours today through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Go check out what the selection looks like. They've got a case in there. You'll see it. You'll talk to Chef Chris. Good stuff. Go by Social Kitchen there on Cary Forest Parkway. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Greg Tish, and I'm here to tell you about TCC's first semester. In the fall of 1966, about 300 students were expected to enroll at the brand new Tallahassee Junior College. A total of 698 enrolled, exceeding everyone's expectations. The campus was not finished, though, so classes took place in Rickards High School and then Godby High School. Today, TCC has 7 campuses and enrolls around 15,000 students annually.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.
We'll check that, but I would think with that defense returning, there'll be many more opportunities. You've got a generational talent at quarterback coupled with a burgeoning young and improving defense. Andy Reid already announced he would be back. Unfortunate for all of us, Travis Kelce will be back in the league. And that sucks for all of us who have to watch football and see him every second of every day. It's just annoying. Really great player. Really great player. Just kind of insufferable. Carey won big, taking Kansas City. So did the country. If you looked at the odds, if you looked at what people bet on, they bet on Kansas City because people aren't betting against Patrick Mahomes. And there was no reason, and we brought this up last week, there was no reason that we could see that San Francisco should have been favored in this game. And a lot of people asked the question. I certainly did. But about, I don't know, midway through the third quarter, I began thinking, well, maybe the odds makers had it right. San Francisco has dominated the line of scrimmage here. Should have a bigger lead, but didn't cash it in. Allowed Patrick Mahomes and crew to hang around. And when given the chance, plays had to be made. He made them. It's 85% of Kansas City's yardage for the game accounted for by Patrick Mahomes. He's that kind of good. I mean, and that fourth quarter, it's like he's got to make a play. You know he's going to ride them. You know he's going to get them down at least in field goal position. Quick question for you. They pull the trigger too quick on that field goal at the end of regulation?
Yeah, I thought so. There's a couple of decisions like that. It's 6 seconds, man, and he knows. He's the most aware player in the world. He knows how much time he's got.
Let me interject this, though. You're right, Tom. You're right to assume that. We've seen him do this countless times, but he made a terrible decision to take off and run when they were out of timeouts, which caused the clock to tick forever.
Yeah.
And that's on him and him alone. That was not a designed run. So he does that, and really that kind of killed their clock in that situation. 6 is a tough number because I do think you can run. Obviously, you can run a quick pass. You can do something there, but you run the risk, a la Georgia against Alabama in the SEC championship game, of somebody making the mistake of catching the ball and not getting out of bounds, and you lose the game. And it is the Super Bowl. And you like your chances going to overtime with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
so I can see where Andy's like, you know what, just kick it.
You're right. I think at 7, you definitely go. I think you should still at 6. You're close enough to the end zone. Like if you're at the 12 or the 15-yard line, you're back by, a lot can go wrong here. If it's a shot it ends up being a 20, 25-yard throw for Mahomes, given the shotgun snap, I don't like it. But you're close enough there. I think you're close enough. First read, if it's not there, let it go. It ends up not mattering. And I think you're right. The math that he's doing in that situation is, look, I really like the way this fourth quarter has gone. We're coming to life here. And I know that Patrick is definitely going to get the ball in overtime. I wonder in that situation, though, if the rules were like they were before they changed, that both teams would get a possession guaranteed. I wonder if maybe that changes your decision-making at 6 seconds if you don't try to go for the win right then, right there. Because in the old system, I think you'd probably be pretty aggressive and say, we got to win it. We got to win it right now, because a coin flip is going to determine whether or not I even have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Under the old system, I think you're right. And I'll say this. It's funny because you got to switch your brain there. You're thinking along with the coach. It's always fun to do that. There are real tough decisions to be made. They're not all obvious either. And sometimes it is sort of a understanding where your team's at physically, mentally, understanding how tired is your defense, who's out. You had injuries in this game. You talk about losing. How tragic is that to lose one of your best players trotting onto the field? And that I felt so bad for him to get injured like that. That is nuts. But it happens. It's not, and then right in this morning, I was dropping Bryce off at Leon, and he says to me, "How do you tear an Achilles jogging onto the field?" I said, "Well, that was an Achilles that was waiting to be tore, son. That's what that was. That was going to happen whether he was jogging onto the field or trying to cover on the next play. I mean, it was on the cusp of tearing. That's the only way that happens. But it does happen, especially with Achilles. Go look historically at a lot of the Achilles injuries we've seen. It hasn't been some sort of violent collision. I remember Dan Marino tearing his just in a drop back. And Kobe Bryant, KD wasn't doing anything crazy. He was running down the floor. All of a sudden, caca. So it happens, but it sucks for that guy and his family and for that team. And again, if you're Shanahan, you're like, I am cursed. Who gets an extra point blocked? There's like 3 blocked extra points a year in football. What are we doing? Guys miss them, but they don't get them blocked. Who gets an extra point blocked in the Super Bowl, has a muff punt off a dude's foot to give up 6, and then has their second best linebacker tearing Achilles jogging onto the field? He's going to be like, are you effing kidding me with this nonsense?
So that's the fun part about this, though, is he's terribly unlucky, but he also is at fault. Because he could have just said, well, the hell with all that. Look at all these bad bounces. Those demons, they tried. But you know what? I've got the best player on the field, not named Patrick Mahomes, and I handed him the ball, and we won the football game. So that's all that matters now. So the second guessing is where it is now. And again, I go back to Kansas City's going to be uber aggressive this offseason to get more weapons. They're going to. It's never going to be that light in terms of a wide receiver room ever again. So if they lose, it won't be because their offense sucks, and they're going to be able to pass the ball next year at a much better clip.
Yeah, and he said after the game, and of course he did, they all do, but he was asked whether or not he, being Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback on earth, and he said it is a dynasty. He had declared that, look, there's you had to have 3 for it to be a dynasty. We got there, but we're just starting. And it's hard to doubt that, dude, because, again, this year, they dominated with defense. They had to try to figure it out throughout the course of the year in offense, and they were bad on offense for a lot of the year. They ended up middle of the pack. They still had a lot of alarming numbers. I mean, think back on the run. You look at the Baltimore win, we go back and think a lot about what it meant and how Baltimore is the seed that they were at home with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and it's all right there for Lamar, who now has a weight on his back because of that performance. And all of these other quarterbacks do because they lose to Mahomes. But if you play poorly, you're really going to get ripped for it. And that was the singular focus, was kind of like, how did Todd Monken decide that we're going to run the ball a grand total of 5 times with our running backs against Kansas City, when, in fact, Kansas City's lone weakness on defense is stopping the run. And so somehow they abandoned it. But what we lost track of in doing that and having that conversation was that Kansas City did next to nothing on offense after the opening drive. They couldn't move the ball to save their life in that game against Baltimore. Not all of that was, we're just going to milk it. They struggled. Baltimore adjusted after those first 2 drives and dominated Kansas City's offense. And even in this game, Mahomes wins the MVP, stockpiles numbers in the fourth quarter and in overtime, but he was largely pedestrian for 3 quarters in this game. They could do nothing with San Francisco's zone defense. In fact, Patrick Mahomes' interception looked like an interception that would be thrown by Brock Purdy or somebody who was a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. It was a terrible decision. It was a desperate throw it up for grabs. And that's another occasion where we didn't talk about it. San Francisco gets that pick in the second half and does nothing, not a thing. You kept feeling like if they could get up 13-3, if they could get up 17-3, they're going to win the game. But they never could, and that's because Kansas City's defense is very good. They did bend some in the run game, didn't break, and they dominated San Francisco's wide receivers. Other than Jennings, nobody did anything at wide receiver for San Francisco.
No, they had a couple of plays dialed up early. I thought Purdy actually was pretty good. He missed Debo in the back of the end zone the one time.
It's a touchdown that he misses. It's a big thing to miss there, though.
It is, because they don't score a touchdown on that drive.
Mm-hmm.
But he did make some really good throws. I thought he was fine. Like, if you're looking for things where you say, well, he needed to play better. No, Brock was fine. It's just that I think he got spooked. I think Shanahan got spooked by the fumble, which just it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because, the holes that were there for McCaffrey early and often.
I don't know.
And then once you go away from it, the whole world knows that, it's about time he's due to go back to McCaffrey. Your sequencing is out of line. And so Kansas City can be alert to that and cheat on some things. And I think they did. Again, that first play of the third drive in the second half, they're cheating on the run. They know it's been 6 passes in a row. They're not going to make it 7. So at that point, you can tee off, get a tackle for loss. I think it ended up being no gain. But that drive is short-circuited at that point. So it's just, he was totally out of rhythm.
Yeah, but what's weird to me is, this is football. It happens. Teams gear up to stop the run when they know it's coming. You don't quit. You say, okay, it's 2nd and 10. I'm going to run it again. I'm going to set up 3rd and 5. I may run it again. I'm going to run it again because that's what good teams do. I'll run it again. Now it's 4th and 2. I'm going for it. Just like the mentality that the play gets stopped and or my guy fumbled earlier in the game, and I'm just going to flee for the hills and chuck it around the lot against that secondary is dumb.
The other part is I think you might be kind a little bit about Mahomes being pedestrian for the first 2.5, 3 quarters. I think he was more rattled by San Francisco's pressures in this Super Bowl than he was by the Buccaneers. He looked affected by what was coming at him. And he made some really weird decisions, too. There's one where they end up kicking a field goal. I think it's the second quarter drive. I guess it has to be because that's their only points. Mm-hmm. But it's the 3rd down. He tries to do like a jump pass. He's running into the middle of the line of scrimmage as he's scrambling.
Gets tackled, yeah.
Settle down. You're going to be – but he was totally affected by the rush.
Yeah, he was. And I thought San Francisco's defense, that's a credit to them. Those edge guys finally showed up and really made plays. I thought they were very good. Again, obviously, Pacheco did nothing for much of this game. He also had a fumble that was critical. But I think you go back and look at we were correct in the way that we told the story of the game leading up to the Super Bowl, which was I think both these teams would like to run the ball. Both defenses have shown they're susceptible to running the ball. Let's see what happens in the passing game, because I have a feeling the offensive lines are going to struggle, and they did. They struggled to protect their quarterbacks. Brock was, 3 of 12 on 3rd down? Well, that is directly related to the pressures that Spags dialed up, and he really had a hard time there. Chris Jones dominates too. That's every time that they need a play. That dude is really good.
I think the second half, especially, he was the player of the game in the second half.
Mhm.
Like I get Mahomes gets the finish and he closes the game out. You get the drive in the fourth quarter, you get the drive in overtime. But Chris Jones was a beast, an absolute beast. And you're correct. They tried to go over on the total. My God, I got it at 47.5. I think it closed at 46.5 at kickoff.
Well,
which,
you're lucky they didn't kick the extra point, or they're not required to.
Yeah, no, totally. I was like, hey man, this game's over, right? Like, yeah, we're all running on the field. They're not doing this. Let's clear the field for this one. They probably would have put their knee in the ground, but still, I like that was done. They tried to go on the over, but the under was the correct side. And you're right. We said it was going to be kind of an old school plotting type football game. It wasn't going to be razzle dazzle 38-35. And I think we were effectively correct.
Takes them 5 full quarters just to get to 47. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Who's now?
Nearly 3 years after a woman was beaten nearly to death in front of a Tallahassee Sam's Club, police have arrested a second suspect. Aaron Carter, 20 years old, is charged with attempted murder and carjacking in the November 4th, 2021 incident. Tallahassee police allege Carter conspired to carjack the woman with Shakel McLean, who was arrested 3 years ago. Police allege the pair planned to attack the woman who worked at the warehouse chain with Carter. They also accused McLean of beating the woman with a tree branch in the store's parking lot, fracturing her skull and causing a brain bleed. The 17-page arrest affidavit, which is dated February 5th, provides details on the night of the alleged carjacking and how detectives spoke to Carter just days after the attack. But it wasn't until McLean's prosecutors pulled call and text records as he prepared to go to trial that they were able to connect Carter to the crime scene. Carter was booked and submitted a not guilty plea. The 20-year-old was denied bond. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A tornado watch remains in effect. Daytime highs approaching 72 this afternoon under overcast skies with thunderstorms likely. Southwesterly wind. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Chance of thunderstorms. Lows level off around 46. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 68 degrees.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
License CAC 116186.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that, what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com now.
Florida State's schedule for spring football. That came out over the weekend. I think we saw it, right? The spring. I mean, I don't know that we need to talk about it, but it's out there.
Yeah, it sounds like working backwards, you get into the middle part of March, which for a start. So the game is later this year. It throws everything out of whack a little bit, that it's Saturday the 20th. Typically it's around Masters Saturday. Many times we're lamenting that it's on moving day at the Masters. that we do have the spring game. But this year, the calendar's crazy. I know the Easter holiday is at the end of March, which is wild. And then the spring game itself is on the 20th. So they don't do that thing where they acclimate, go to spring break for a week, and then come back. It's going to be straight through for Florida State this year.
Which I like. And you now you can start, making plans, buddy. You can get your ass back down here from New York, and we'll go watch some practices and enjoy.
We will. At least 3. I'm making at least 3. It might be 4 with the golf tournament week, which we'll make an announcement on that soon. But we can report, we discussed this today, that we will have opening day at the Corner Pocket. We'll have opening day MLB, and we're wearing our hats today at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Yeah, this is the new official spring training cap of the Pirates. It's the one. It says 2024 spring training on the side. Got that shipped in. Do that at the beginning of every year. The spring training caps are always nice. This bad boy's fitted, Tom. And I will be at that series, but you're right, that Thursday of opening day when the Buccos take on the Marlins. I was going to go down to South Florida, but we instead had the opportunity to get together and take it to Corner Pocket Bar and Grill for opening day. Another classic Jeff Cameron show opening day at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Everybody comes out, get yourself some hot dogs, apple pie with cheddar cheese on top if you want. It is delicious. Get you some, Bud Heavy perhaps. Maybe it's a Bud Heavy kind of day as you sit back and watch a little baseball, a little piece of Americana.
Yeah, the first game of the day is my own. It's the Mets playing the Brewers. They're here at Citi Field. I'll be going that Saturday. I'll be flying back and then going to the game on Saturday. But then you guys, I think we're the only 1 o'clock game. So then it goes 3 o'clock and a bunch of 4s, and you guys play at 4. So that's going to be a good time.
I just like that, today is the start of baseball season, basically. That's what everybody can announce. You've got everybody reporting, and the sound of the ball hitting the mitt is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, so I was talking to Bill Hayes, Corner Pocket today, just making sure that the dates are good for some of the things we got coming up. And he's like, yep, going to Hauser on Friday. And I'm just so jealous. Hauser on Friday. That's going to be watching those games this weekend. And then during the break, I actually took a look at the local TV schedule for Mets spring training because you couldn't get that. There's no service to get that, like MLB TV for spring.
Right.
So 2 Saturdays from now, first spring training game on the tube, man. It's going to be good times.
I made it 47 minutes deep into the first half of the show and not bringing up a, valiant effort from Florida State basketball over the weekend, but a loss nonetheless. And that's really where we're getting to with this now. There's no question they've improved over last year by leaps and bounds, but it's not fruitful because they're losing these games that they have to find a way to win because of how bad they were in the non-conference to start the year. So they put themselves in a situation to be buried by that 6-5 start in the non-conference. And now each one of these losses, you start looking in that column and you go, well, they're not bad losses. I mean, a year ago, this was a team that finished 7-13 in the ACC and had a ton of games where they got blown out by 20-plus points and looked awful. But this year, they're 13-10 overall, 7-5 in the ACC. And their losses aren't dreadful, but here's the problem. They're mounting, and your current net ranking is 97th. So now the NIT bid is getting slim. Now we're starting to approach the land of you're not going to make the NIT. Now, Ira and Corey said to me when I brought this up, who cares? You either make the NCAA tournament or you don't. Who cares about the NIT? I care in terms of judging where the program's at. If you're not good enough to even make the NIT going on 3 years, we got a problem. So you're not seeing the upward mobility that you'd like to see here. So they have to finish uber strong in their final 8 ACC games. And that would mean that you got to beat Clemson at Clemson, and then you're going to have to beat Duke this upcoming week. So I don't, what's the likelihood of either one of those things happening? Not good.
No, you need one magical week in Washington, D.C. is what you need. That's the only thing left to do. But this game was it It was a lot more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. The efficiency was through the roof for both.
Our offensive efficiency was great. We just can't hit threes. We still can't hit threes and haven't hit them all year long, other than little stretches where we go out of our mind and knock a few down. But we're just not what we do.
And Virginia was knocking them down out of their mind, McNeely specifically, but they were shooting over 50%. Some of them were contested, many were not. But their typical defense, I think it's 38.9% entering the game. That's what they give up at Virginia. And we were shooting basically 50% from the field. It was back and forth, up and down. We made it close a couple of times in the second half, but that was a thoroughly entertaining game with Virginia. I didn't see that coming. I wish we were on the good side of it, but we really did some things to them, especially in the paint, because that's where we have to operate. But we did some things to them down low around the basket that I didn't know we were going to be capable of. It was, unfortunately, an impressive loss.
If I told you last week we'd score 76 points against Virginia, shoot what we shot from the field overall, and, I gave you some of the other numbers that were impressive, revealing the aforementioned efficiency, you'd say, oh, this game is played at Florida State's pace. They were able to speed Virginia up. They were able to do all the things that you'd like to do. Yeah, it didn't matter, man. We lost. And it's another one to make it 13-10, and you don't have margin for error. And I hate it. I just hate the way this is winding down a legend like Leonard Hamilton's career. I don't like where that's headed.
At least this team's got heart. The last couple didn't. This one does. And look, man, I got to tell you, I was looking at the totals. So I was just watching. I didn't play it. But this was the 30 minutes that concluded the game. Outside of that first 10, that's where the efficiency went nuts, because it looked like it was going to be a typical game. I think there were 2 points in the first 3 minutes, and it was slow, slogging, whistles, empty possessions. And then from about that halfway point in the first half, there were hardly any empty possessions going both ways, because even if there was a miss, there'd be an offensive board, a putback, a foul, whatever. But at that first 10 minutes looked like it was going to be 62-47, or I don't know that we were going to ever score as few as Miami did against Virginia, where
38.
They didn't break the 40 barrier, but it looked like it was going down that path. And then everybody continued to make shots the rest of the way. So we'll see if they can bounce back against Virginia Tech. But yeah, man, I think it's all about one magical week in the tournament now. I'm talking the conference tournament. That's your only path to do much of anything.
Mike Norvell has begun the booster tour, if you will. We'll get comments from him over the course of 9 more appearances I think he makes after this last one. Ira Chaffel and I will do the Smash tonight. We look forward for you guys to join us on Warchant TV tonight at 7 o'clock for the Smash. I'll talk to Ira about what he learned. He went, if I'm not mistaken, right, to that talk there in Orlando?
Yeah, that's correct. And this is the OG Smash. I just put it up on the board. This is the OG crew.
Yeah, old school indeed. I look forward to it. Our friend Russ Ford is doing a great job of sponsoring the Smash. Always appreciate Russ. Got a chance to have a couple of cold ones with him in the box for the ACC championship when we knocked out Louisville and dominated on defense. And at one point, Ingram and myself and Russ raised our glasses high and said, to the playoff, off we go. And we were all set. But alas, it was not to be. But tonight, we won't be rehashing that. Instead, we'll be looking forward, as Mike did talk about some of the newcomers, the roster, and what we're looking at with spring football. I'm excited. It's amazing. Football is year-round now. It was that way. We watched the NFL slowly but surely take hold of the sports calendar. We would watch, they'd step on the feet of other sports. At some point, they were trying to be delicate. Later, they just decided, no, it's ours. This is what we're going to do, and it's just going to be year-round. And now college football is efforting to do the same, and that makes sense since they're kind of cloning a very professional operation, and that is what leads to people like, head coaches at, say, UCLA leaving their job as a head football coach to go be a coordinator in the NFL. That's where we're at right now, because that happened over the weekend with Chip Kelly.
That's fascinating too. There's got to be more that comes out of that situation. Because
you can't win at UCLA, not big anyhow. Coaching college football kind of sucks, really difficult, and He knows that wasn't going to end well, and he's like, screw this. I'll take it to the league.
Well, I think also dirty laundry wise too. Like there's something that's coming out there. He was obviously on the short list for the Raiders offensive coordinator job, didn't get that. And he said, I'll just be an OC somewhere else than my current place. Because apparently when the next head coach was introduced today, the locker room or the meeting room went nuts. So it was like ding dong, the witch is dead. I just wonder what happened behind the scenes there.
Never struck me as a guy you'd love to play for. Never struck me as a guy that you'd just be chipper about as you went to work. But I do think it's a combination, a confluence of events where, yeah, you might have whatever's coming out. I don't know if are there rules in college football anymore. You may have something along those lines coming out. I don't think that thing was on the verge of turning the corner and becoming this behemoth in the game. What they're asking college coaches to do anymore is really, really hard. And if you don't have everything in lockstep and not everybody's on the same page and you don't have it in order from the top down, it's listen, low key. It's one of the great things that Florida State has going for them now, not just that they kept Mike Norvell and that he's done a good job since taking over as head coach and the program has turned the corner, but from the president to the athletic director to the head coach on down, the players love this staff. You got obviously great alliance there and synergy for this football program. And that's not the way it is in a lot of places. And perhaps it's a little easier to walk away from that if you're a current college coach, given the circumstances and what it takes to compete at the highest levels right now in a world in which everybody's a free agent on a daily basis. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic of Basic Brooks Law Offices.
Traffic cameras are everywhere these days.
And Basic Brooks is partnered with RoadProof to get access to all their vast network of cameras.
This is a valuable tool to help us search for evidence that could help you if you were involved in an accident.
If you've been hurt in an accident, call Basic Brooks and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Call Basic Brooks and we'll do everything we can to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
This is Patty Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready.
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name? It's Patty and Scott. Everybody knows Patty and Scott.
I don't know. This is Patty Wilson. I am Patty Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Patty's Playhouse. We're on Patty's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Patty Wilson, Patty's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
This is Jamie McClenney with Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Despite the highest global interest rates in almost 2 decades, inverted yield curves, conflicts in the Middle East, and 3 of the largest bank failures in U.S. history, equities and bond markets have posted stellar returns for 2023. The Dow Jones, the NASDAQ 100, and the Russell 2000 all reached new highs as markets rallied on the expectations of Fed pauses, Fed easing, and Fed bank bailouts. Markets are going to do what markets are going to do, but a clearly defined risk management protocol can help to mitigate large drawdowns in your retirement nest egg. If you're concerned where all this might be headed, call me at 850-900-5200 and let's talk about ways to mitigate the risk in your portfolio.
Make Jamie your first call for that second opinion. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the Bungalow Chungalo, as I call it.
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the pan con lechon. It's delicious. All of these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
The Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls, beating the 49ers in overtime, and they open plus 650 to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Super Bowl 59 next year in New Orleans. The Jaguars open at 30-1, the Buccaneers at 70-1. NASCAR Super Bowl is this week, the Daytona 500 at Daytona International Speedway. Denny Hamlin 9-1, Kyle Busch 11-1, Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski both 12-1. Florida A&M today, a 1-point dog at home to Prairie View A&M, 148.5 the total at the Al Lawson Center. 4 free chicken breasts and 4 free pork chops with your order right now at omahasteaks.com/BSIN. Mike Son and Real Talk 93.3.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Social Kitchen is now open on Cary Forest Parkway near Ology Northside, Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides ready to serve in just under 20 minutes. Perfect for those very busy springtime weeks, weekends, you name it. Hosting some people at the house. Hey, Social Kitchen also has build-your-own charcuterie boards and catering. Stop in and visit Social Kitchen today or visit us online at socialkitchentlh.com. Socialkitchentlh.com.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5,
What did I say? I made a mistake about what here? I just now see this. I'm getting caught up. Oh, I said, what did I say? I named the wrong Kelly. People are saying I made a mistake in the chat. I wasn't looking there. I would have come back to mention that, but Tom can inform me later on. I'll figure it out. I don't know what I said. It's nice. Yeah, he did to be OC, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, I said the NFL. Yeah, he just left for another OC job. That's what I meant. Oh, my apologies. You got me. But leaving a head coaching job to be an OC was the gist of what I was getting at, which is I could understand that. I could see it would be rough. But you're right. It probably has to do with whatever ugliness is behind the scenes there and a bad locker room and in the current environment in college football. It's brutal. We're going to see more of it. The coaches. So, like Andy Reid was asked repeatedly after last night's Super Bowl victory, would he retire? And I remember thinking, other than age, why on earth would you retire when you have Patrick Mahomes as your starting quarterback and that burgeoning defense? Like that defense in the modern era of football, you've got to be able to stop people's passing games, and they do it better than anybody with young corners. It needs a good player. They're going to be all right. And he's got that guy at quarterback. Man, I hate to be mean, but my man didn't stop coaching when his son died. You think he's going to stop coaching now? Like, you got it. He's in a good situation. This is if he was dedicated back then when things were tough in his personal life, I think things have probably cleared up a little bit for him. And I'm not trying to ignore tragedy or make light of it. I'm just pointing out life circumstances were pretty tough at one time in that guy's life, and he stuck with coaching, which is a time-consuming job to say the least. You think he's going to walk away now? No, man. This is as good as it gets for a coach at his age.
Well, and you heard it at the top of the hour. It's plus 750 if you want to bet on Kansas City to win it again for a third straight year. If they did, now he's running down Belichick because, interestingly enough, he gets credit for his Philadelphia tenure. The more Super Bowls he wins because of how consistently good that football team was.
This is the thing Shanahan has to hope for. So that's exactly what I'm saying. Look, people back then knew Andy Reid was a good football coach, but the same criticisms of Andy Reid at Philadelphia are the same things being said right now about Shanahan in San Francisco. Time management situations were ugly for Andy Reid back in the day, as Director Matthew nods his head repeatedly. I mean, that was something that plagued Andy Reid. And then, of course, when you're in these moments, when you have these opportunities and you don't win them, if you get there enough, it stops being cute. It stops being a thing that you get praised for, and it starts being the thing that is the monkey on your back. This is like Bowden before he won one. It's like Tom Osborne before he won one. It's like Phil Mickelson before he won a major. Oh, great. You finished second a bunch of times, and you've been in the mix in every major for the last 4 years. Yeah, at some point, you're a choker, pal. You're not great because you're there all the time. You suck because you're there and can't finish. That's what people do. They turn on you immediately. So I think Shanahan's a good coach. He's got some foibles, some things to work through. He's had a through line with some of these mistakes where there's a little tightening factor we could get into. But the point is, you can't consistently get there, and he's gotten there. He brings quarterbacks that are pedestrian to the Super Bowl. He takes guys. I mean, Jimmy G went to a Super Bowl. That guy's pretty much the definition of average ass quarterback is what he is. And I'm not real sure Purdy's much better. So we'll see. Purdy's got a long career ahead of him. He'll be in the league. We'll see. He's got limiting attributes. Okay, I will say that. He's got limiting attributes. Let's see what he ends up doing. We all know, by the way, and this is what great ones do, so this is not Purdy's fault per se, but go ahead and give Patrick Mahomes San Francisco's roster. Let's see who's winning Super Bowls, one after the other, because that's a pretty damn fine roster, friends.
And he had that early in his career when he was on his rookie contract. You know, offensively speaking, they were loaded. They were absolutely loaded. And this is the worst offense I think he's going to have. Now, they've got to afford Jones, and they got to pay him in the offseason. And they've got some other things they got to move around. But the salary cap continues to go up. They're going to get more relief as time goes on with some of the veterans like a Kelsey, maybe a year or so that come off the books. And that's a lot of money you can redistribute. But, man, they're going after weapons now. This is going to be a much, much better offense next year. And I thought Pacheco was a really good development heading into the Super Bowl. They got spooked, too, by his fumble, but he runs pretty hard. So they've got some pieces there. Obviously, they just won the Super Bowl. It's funny to say it like this, but they've got some pieces to be really good. But, man, he's going to have, at minimum, one all-pro type receiver, in addition to probably a high draft pick that they spend, a first or a second rounder on a wide receiver in this next draft.
Yeah, Tom, well, I hope you're wrong. I don't like your tone. I don't like this projection of more Kansas City dominance, pal. You can stifle that nonsense right here, right now. I'm done with it. That's the thing about Kansas City. It's funny because I've always liked Kansas City. You have too.
Yep.
I've kind of always liked Andy Reid. He's an affable fat ass. We all like affable fat asses. See? Santa Claus. But, I mean, at some point, I have nothing against Patrick Mahomes. His brother is a clown, and there's some other factors there on that Chiefs team. Like, I'm not a Kelsey fan. He's a really great player. I'm objective. I know he's great. He's an all-time leader in the postseason, especially in receptions. It's unbelievable. But, man, I'm done with Kansas City. That time is up. Great. You were off in the forest for much of my life, and nobody cared about you. And it was a cute little story once when Joe Montana went there and won a playoff game. Well, nice. Great. Then later on, Tom fell in love with you because he liked Alex Smith, and they came up short too, and that's fine. That was all well and good. But now that you're the conquering heroes of the NFL, you've become a habitual line stepper. You've now crossed that line again. Now that's too many wins. We know how this works in the sports world. You could be a perfectly decent human being who doesn't do anything wrong off the field, certainly earns it between the lines, puts in the time, kicks ass, is clearly the best player at his position. But if you win one too many times, you can go to hell. I'm done with you. It's like when the Yankees were really good and they were spinning more than everybody. We're like, okay, I'm about done with this. I hope Derek Jeter shatters his ankle. I'm just saying it. That's where we were. We were done with it. And today, unless you're a Kansas City fan, in which case, congratulations, because you got the guy, and they are loaded for bear, and they're going to continue to be great, and you're flying high. And I got it. You should. If this were the Bucks, I'd be doing the show pantless today. So I got it. Celebrate your championships. Flags fly forever. Celebrate. Do it. But the rest of us hate your ass now. We're done. It will be irrational. We'll just find things to hate about you from this point forward, even when you don't do anything wrong. In fact, many people already do. They just get mad because the Chiefs keep winning. Like, for example, Patrick Mahomes' voice is annoying. It annoys everybody. It's a very annoying voice. It's a ridiculous voice. No man should have a voice that sounds like that. He sounds and looks ridiculous. It's kind of funny when he's winning a championship, when he wins a few games, when he's a cool story that the kid that was in the draft that a lot of people didn't think would become much, that he was probably a system quarterback, is now a guy that is kicking ass in the league. It's all cute that he sounds that way. Win a few championships, one too many, and we go, this man is a clown. This is ridiculous. That's how this turns. And that's where we're at.
There's a tone in your voice that sounds like me when Nadal started to emerge on Team Federer. I'm going, hey man, so somebody can beat this guy now in France. Somebody, he's back. Hey, he's at 14. Hey, excuse me. And then Joker right behind him, like, hey man, and are there going to be any 19-year-old phenoms that could rise up maybe once in a while and beat this guy? Anybody? He's getting really close to Rodgers' record, guys.
You were getting panicked is what you were. You were like, this is not funny anymore.
Even if Rafa catches him, that's qualified because it's only one place and he's won a couple of times elsewhere. But, hey, man, this ain't cool. And then when Rodgers got a chance to beat him in Wimbledon in the 5th set and it's an unforced error, I go, hey, man, he's going to pass you. He's going to pass you, Roger. What are you doing, Roger? And that's what Mahomes is doing right now.
Yeah, what happened, I remember it. I knew you had such a soft spot in your heart for Roger Federer, and we all saw what was happening with Jokic. We were kind of like Jokic. We were like, the Joker is the real deal. And I was like, I think he's going to pass him. And you're like, no. And I'm like, oh, That sounds desperate.
I
That
mean, certainly
sounds
I'm
like he knows he's damn well
come on,
gonna
man.
pass.
There are so many Sundays of Grand Slams over the years, too many to count, where I'm like, come on now. Come on. Calm down.
Somebody
it's
beat
like-
this bastard.
And it's like Medvedev. I'm like, come on, Medvedev. You can do it. Come on, Medvedev. You can do
Man,
this.
you know how many teams I care nothing about the last 2 years that I've rooted for as if my life depended on it when they faced Kansas City? Like, I don't care anything about Baltimore. Nothing. I cared nothing about the Bills. I cared nothing about the Dolphins, any of these teams. I'm like, come on, Miami. You can do it. You can overcome the freezing conditions. I'm sure of it. That's where we're at. People rooting as if their life depended on it for anybody to knock those bastards off. That's how you know you've entered. People always wonder, like, well, at what point is it called a dynasty? At the point when everybody hates your ass. Even those that once liked you are now like, I never said that. I don't care for them. Never have. It just becomes this alternate thing. Like, you could have had dinner with me at some point in which I said, good for Andy Reid. And that Patrick Mahomes sure is likable. What a fun team. I hope they win it all. I would deny that to the death right now if you brought that up. No, I've always hated them. Screw them all.
He's taking Justin Watson to a different level. Bucks cast off Justin Watson. That's what he just did. It is, they stumbled into this one. That's the hard part. Like, they're going to earn another one. They're going to earn one and dominate.
Yeah, that's why you got to get them when they're reeling like this. You had them. You had them. And that defense is only going to get better. They're so young. And they keep getting better every week. I'm like, oh, it's happening. Look at this. This is how people win 6 and 7 Super Bowls. Like, Tom Brady early was okay. He wasn't a game changer. People weren't looking at Tom Brady like, oh, look at this Tom Brady. They're like, oh, he's pretty good for a guy drafted in the 6th round, who had to fill in for Bledsoe after Bledsoe nearly died on the field. You're like, well, good for that Tom Brady character. He's got some what for, doesn't he? Guy's got some moxie. And then they win a Super Bowl like 13-10 or some nonsense or whatever that was, 20-17. You're like, the kid didn't pee all over himself. Good for him. Good for that guy. And then, like, they win another Super Bowl because Bill Belichick's defense is awesome. And they're still like, well, that Brady boy, he sure did go to the right place. Good for him. He's a great game manager. Really nothing special about him, but a very good game manager who doesn't lose games. He knows he's got it good. Reminds me of Big Ben. Yeah, Big Ben, that first Super Bowl win, had to throw it 13 times. They're not asking that dude to do anything but turn and hand the ball off to the bus and let that defense dominate. And then next thing you know, he's good. Like, enough time goes by, you're like, oh, he's suddenly gotten good. And, that's when it takes off to another level, and then we all hate you. Mahomes is different in a lot of ways because that dude stepped on the field setting the world on fire. That guy came in. That C.J. Stroud this year, right? Like, what is this? Why is this guy this good? Did any of us see this coming? No way. But he's that good. And there's no, like, much of what I just said. I mean, this is fun. We're having a good time here. This is what we are as sports fans. I think I'm encapsulating what we are as sports fans. We like you. We like you. We hate you. That's Michael Jordan in a nutshell for the rest of the league in the NBA. Like, look at Michael Jordan. What was Dean Smith doing with this guy at North Carolina to hold him 16 points a game? Jesus, Dean. We can get the hell out of this four corners nonsense and let this guy cook a little bit. I think he's got something. You're killing him. Now he's in the league with grown-ass men dropping 40 a night. We could have seen this in college basketball if you weren't so antiquated with this 1952 offense you're running. And then at some point, you're like, I hate Michael Jordan. I'm tired of this nonsense. This is ridiculous. That's what ends up happening.
And then he goes to Washington, he drops 50, and you catch wind it's happening, and so you catch the game in the third quarter, you're like, look at him go. And you're just so proud. Yeah. That's the final step. We're not going to be there with Mahomes for another 10 years. But, I mean, even the Sheriff, one final run for the Sheriff. Can he catch his brother Eli? And it wasn't even him. He was so much better.
Dominated, yeah.
The year that they got destroyed by Seattle in the Super Bowl, that was the year where he was unbelievable. Peyton was setting records left and right. for Brady. There was a little bit of that in Tampa, where I think a lot of people are like, well, okay, can he be?
He still threw for over 4,000 yards. Yeah.
But I'm talking about where people come around at the very, very end, and they're like, all right, one final. It's Tiger on the Sunday morning finish for the Masters. The whole world is, even me, I didn't like Tiger for a long period there. And then I'm like, come on, Tiger, you can do this, buddy.
We got weepy-eyed watching our Tiger roam the fairways at Augusta. There he is. There he is. He's about to tee off. It could be his day.
Look at him. He's chewing gum today. It's new.
Yeah. He hugged his kid like he cares for them. That's it. He got me. Oh, man. That's what happened. That's what happened is with Kansas City last night entered into that weird realm where we've built you up and we've watched your successes, and now collectively we hate you. And we can't, and we know dead to rights, we know they didn't do anything wrong. Although, again, Kelsey is insufferable. But Mahomes didn't do anything wrong. Andy Reid didn't do anything wrong. We like all these guys. You know what? It's nice that Kansas City, that franchise has been around forever. Hank Schramm and everybody. My mom and I talking about that on Friday, going back in the day. Lynn Dawson. I used to love Christian Okoye at running back. I thought it was pretty cool when Barry Word was there. There were all kinds of guys. I remember this franchise backwards and forwards. It was always a neat story. Middle America, great team. Good for them. Good for them. Never going to win anything, but good for them. Their history is ancient history, long ago.
They've got Dante Hall, the best returner in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What a player. That was my Madden team because I wanted to play as Dante Hall, and he was something else.
Yeah, so it happened. And I was so, Johan Stenerud, good job, Life Spectator. Yeah, I mean, God dog it. Yeah, last night I turned off the TV after the touchdown, and Clark was like, well, damn it. And he never gets that demonstrative. And I go, you're really mad. He's, I'm tired of this. Well, you and me both. Because I don't even like San Francisco, but I was cheering for them last night. I'm like, that's what you've made me do. I'm done with you guys. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Sensation Salad is so much more than a plain old salad. It's a salad, which begs the question, at what point does a salad stop being a salad and become a salad? Is it when you add Zaxby's fried chicken to it? Crunchy wontons? Asian slaw? Citrus vinaigrette? Teriyaki glaze? Sweet and spicy? All with a handmade, perfectly fried egg roll. Without a doubt, the egg roll. The Sensation Salad, only at Zaxby's.
If you've been waiting and waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknolls.com. That's loansforknolls.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, Maclay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers. the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mndlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. Now, back to Jeff.
Just talking about this during the break, Tom, and I brought up the fact that you and I, so you brought up the guys who stay in it long enough that you come back around on in respect just because you have to admire the career, even though you knew the reason you disliked them was nonsensical to begin with, just because they hurt your team or you got tired of them because they won too much. We're all guilty of that. There's plenty of people that we just don't like because they've won too much. In our eyes, we've just decided, yeah, that's enough for you. I'm tired of this. And so it happens, right? And then if they go through something and come back from it, it could be injury, it could be personal crisis, it could be drug addiction. I mean, Americans are very forgiving people. I mean, there are guys out there that, you know, are a disaster in their personal life, all brought on by their own appetites. Things like see Tiger Woods, you know, all of these things. And then like, all right, well, I mean, who knows how we would react if we had $700 million and we're the most popular man in any room. We might have succumbed to those same appetites. I don't know. I remember reading the article. I brought it up a million times. I think it was Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys saying after License to Ill came out, they all suddenly had $200 million and they were like 19 years old. I told Tom I'd have been dead. There's no, we were going to have a good time, but it would have been brief. But I mean, so, you know, you root for people to come out the other side. And that's where I brought up you and I coming around on Steve Smith.
Man,
if you recall, we grew to like Steve Smith.
I loved Steve Smith.
At the end. Yeah.
Yeah. In the beginning, he and Delhomme. Oh my God. Jake's running around and the Fox broadcaster. Look at crazy Jake Delhomme. He's doing it again. And you're like, oh my God, with this guy.
Yeah.
And then Steve would just yap.
Yeah, all the time with the talking.
Yap. But then he went to Baltimore. I'm like, man, this guy's awesome. He's the best.
And he's tough. He was always tough. But he would back up. He would back it up. You're like, okay, well, you know. I think a lot of people did that with Jeter at the end, too. Everybody doffed the cap at the end. You're like, okay, I hate the Yankees, but you know what? Good on you, buddy. Good career. Good
career.
Agreed.
Not more so. I always loved Rivera. Always loved Mariano.
Well, how could you not?
Somehow, some way, Andy Pettit gets like attached to this conversation. It's like, oh God, no.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Not him. Not that one.
Very few people can have the kind of repeated success we're talking about. Now, first of all, if they do at the expense of your favorite team, you'll never come around. It'll take a lot for you to come around if it's at the expense of your favorite team. So, like the Yankees, those Yankees that paid $1 gazillion to mask their poor management. Yeah, I got tired of them very quickly because they just threw money at things, and I was sick of it. But there's always an individual player in there where you're like, okay, I'll ride the roller coaster with you. You've had too much success for my liking, but you really haven't done anything wrong personally. You're not out here beating women. I've never heard anything terrible about you. You just happen to be good, and you're on the wrong team. And then at some point, when their career is almost over, you're kind of like, oddly, I may miss them. They were a part of the fabric of the bigger picture of the game here and all that good stuff.
There are a couple of Braves like that.
Oh, Greg Maddux for me.
John Smoltz, I really liked too as a player, and I came around on him. Didn't like him, but not Larry Jones. Not Larry Jones.
I know you were upset about the Hooters waitress. I'm sure that had to be what it was.
Very, very unsurprising behavior. Very unsurprising behavior. Yeah.
Ira Chappelle joins us now on the Jeff Cameron Show. Hello, Ira. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Is Tom casting dispersions on players' character? Like I feel like those Mets teams had some.
Oh gosh, the '86 Mets. It's a miracle they're not all dead currently. I mean, every one of them did more cocaine than all of LA put together in a given year. That was incredible. I don't know, man. My Pirates in the 70s, the 79 Pirates, Dave Parker and those boys may have been down for a good time, was the rumor all those years ago. What we were saying, though, and I know you as an Orioles fan, and I also know you as a man, you will hold animosity. And in particular, certain players and coaches, who's a guy, because I was just saying, I don't know if you heard any of the show, but I was saying that Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, they didn't do anything wrong. They just kept winning. They just keep winning. He keeps finding ways. He's now in the pantheon of all-time great quarterbacks, but I'm done with him. I'm done. I hope they never win another game. I'm tired of Kansas City. And oddly, I'm kind of tired of him, and he didn't do anything wrong. Who's a guy that you felt that way about, but then at the end kind of came around and were like, okay, all right, I respect it.
You know, I mean, honestly, and it's recency bias. First of all, I'm not with you on the Mahomes stuff. I'm Team Mahomes. I'm fine with the Chiefs. I like Taylor. I'm happy with the whole thing.
Oh, I don't have Taylor isn't part of our discussion. I don't care anything about Taylor Swift. I hate Kelsey. He's a great player, but I can't stand him. He's a doofus. But I like Patrick Mahomes just fine. He's a wonderful player, and I like Andy Reid.
You know, it happens to be mostly, I think, with tennis for whatever reason. It's like these guys who. Because what happens is, like, I'll like somebody, and then I don't like a lot of times I don't like the person who's challenging that person. Like, so, at one point I liked Bjorn Borg.
Yes.
I'm dating myself.
I was a McEnroe guy, so we would have been at odds.
Right. So my sister was a McEnroe lady.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have these arguments. But then later in McEnroe's career, I'm like, I like John McEnroe.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing with, later, I think in like later years, obviously, I didn't love
Agassi.
I didn't love Nadal.
Oh, okay.
Nadal for a while. I liked Federer, but then like later, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like Nadal. And then it's Joker. I'm just like, I don't like him at all. And then recently, I'm like, you know what? He's pretty impressive. So I think what happens to me a lot of times in tennis is they get older and they win. And a lot of times they change their behavior. They kind of grow on me, but more so I think with tennis than any other sport.
It's funny you bring that up. My grandmother does it with golfers. My grandma will watch a golf tournament. She's 97 years old. She still watches golf every weekend. And on Monday when I call her at the beginning of every week, and we talk, and she'll go, "Did you watch the golf over the weekend?" I'll go, "Yeah." She goes, "I don't like that." And she'll name the golfer. And I'm like, "What? Why don't you like him?" "Well, he doesn't seem very appreciative." I'm not real sure. She's just reading body language, and she hates Jordan Spieth. Hates him. And every time he comes up, she's like, "I hope that Jordan Spieth doesn't win. He didn't shake hands when they like whatever it was she saw when he won one. She hated it when he won the Masters, and she was like, "Oh, he did not smile and shake hands with whoever put the jacket on him. It was hilarious.
Kim will do it with appearances. Sometimes, like, just during yesterday, just watching the studio stuff, was not a big fan of J.J. Watt because of his hair. Doesn't know who he is, doesn't know anything about him, but decided she does not like him at all because of his hair.
Well, many people hate the Watts. So you could tell her she's in a place with a lot of people who share that sentiment. There's a level of I won't say it, but yeah. But I think the more interesting thing is when you come around on a guy, when you hate a guy, and then at the end I just said I did it with Greg Maddux. I used to hate the Braves, used to hate the Braves pitchers, and then all these years later, I appreciate many of those guys and how good they were.
Yeah, I don't know that there's ever been a Yankee that I would feel that way about. I don't think that's ever happened for me. Has it ever happened to you with a rival, like a guy that beat you, and then later you felt that way? Because I don't think I have.
No, I'm not trying to think if there's a guy that was largely responsible for beating the Buccos. I mean, we've been so bad for so long. There have only been some small snapshots of success, so we weren't in a position to win everything. Jake Arrieta can go to hell. He can go to hell. That guy right there, that's steroid monger. He can go to hell in all of his cheating ways. So there's one, and I'm not going to come around on him either. So when we get the sad news that thanks to all those steroids, he has an enlarged heart and he's suffering medically, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's a shame. I'll just be like, oh, that's what happens when you do so many steroids, buddy. That's how it works. What do you want to talk tonight about as far as you and I get together for the Smash Buddy? We're going OG. I want to talk about what Mike had to say and maybe what you gleaned.
Yeah, from down there in Orlando, touched on a bunch of different topics. It was pretty good. We haven't spoken to him really since signing day. I think I don't think we've had a chance to really sit down with him since then. So yeah, there's some good topics there that we can talk about, and also all these newcomer interviews. I mean, obviously, it's been a unique February where we're really getting a lot of football information just because I think they brought in close to 30 newcomers this semester. I think it's about 13 scholarship freshmen and about 13 or 14 maybe scholarship transfers, and so we're rifling through them with interviews. I think we had nearly double digits last week, so we can talk about some of those guys. We can talk a little hoops, Jeff. Talk a little hoops.
I don't know.
My favorite thing about basketball, we might maybe touch on this tonight. Not that we're going to talk a lot of basketball.
No.
My favorite thing with the complaints about basketball is, and there's a thread on the Tribal Council right now, where people will have their dug-in notions about like what Florida State basketball is or the shortcomings, and then whenever they start losing, they just trot them out again.
Oh yeah.
One of them over the weekend was after the Virginia loss. It was, I hate this offense. All they do is just one-on-one basketball. It's terrible. We can't shoot. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, they just shot like 50-something% against Virginia and scored like almost 80 points against Virginia, who holds teams regularly to the 30s or 40s. So I'm not saying that's not a good argument at some point in time. I'm just saying this particular week, it's a weird time, and that's always something kind of that entertains me about that debate.
24 of 47, that's 51%, 51.1%. They also hit their free throws, which they don't always do, 26 of 33 in this game. But they were miserable from beyond the arc. You're right. The time to make the argument is not after dropping 76 on Virginia when some teams struggle to score 40.
Right. So that's all. It's just that topic always kind of gives me, or the free throw shooting thing when it's like the days they don't shoot free throws.
Yeah,
that's one argument. But then, like you said, this past game they did shoot free throws. So it's just the big picture topic about where the program is and where it's going is certainly valid. It's just I just would like people to be a little bit more clued in at the moment about what they're complaining about.
By the way, Ira, that is and you've said this before, and we've talked about it before, and again, we won't get down in the muck on this because we will have football topics and other things to get caught up on, but it is interesting. I mean, it's a shame they started so poorly at 6-5 in the non-conference because they buried themselves, and now they've played pretty well in the second part of the season, but it's not going to be enough because now they're 13-10. And 13-10 is teetering. They're 97th in terms of net ranking. They're on the outside looking in of the NIT. And I know we don't care about the NIT, but again, it's a benchmark for a program where if you can't even get to that, then you're going to have a hard time convincing anybody there's positive momentum long term to keep Ham, you know?
Yeah, no question. And I think that, really a lot of, the only things that really can change the perceptions right now would be just to finish very strongly in the remaining regular season games, and then have some sort of run in the ACC tournament. Obviously, if you could win the ACC tournament, that would put you in the NCAA tournament. But even if you just make a run, I think it would change the perspective, because now you can do over their last 17 games,
right,
5 or whatever it is. So a lot of that's going to kind of paint the picture. But yeah, man, this is in the big picture from a record standpoint, these last 2 to 3 years have been definitely not what you're looking for from a coach that's been there for 2 decades.
My brother, I'll talk to you tonight. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, take care. That's Ira Chappelle, warchant.com. We will join forces this evening on Warchant TV for the Smash. Look forward to you guys joining us for that. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
Tallahassee Police Department responded to the scene of a reported shooting Saturday around 11 p.m. in the 2200 block of Parkbrook Court. When officers arrived on scene, they located one victim, an adult male deceased, outside. This remains an open and active investigation, and updates will be provided as more information becomes available. The Florida State University Career Center is accepting donations for its annual spring cleaning with meaning clothing drive. FSU is looking to fill its professional clothing closet with business professional clothes such as like new dress shoes, both men's and women's, as well as accessories like ties and belts. They are also asking for suits, blazers, dress pants, and shirts for both men and women. FSU says these donations will help students feel more confident as they face some of their first professional situations. The clothing drive will continue through March 15th. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs around 72 this afternoon under overcast skies with thunderstorms likely. Winds out of the southwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, chance of thunderstorms. Lows level off around 46. Highs around 61 tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 69.
I'm Greg Tisch, and I want to share how it all began at Tallahassee Community College. During a quiet moment on a fishing trip in 1963, FSU President Gordon Blackwell looked to Lewis Hill, who was a member of the Leon County Board of Public Instruction, and said, "Lou, why don't you get a junior college?" When Lou told Gordon he felt the college would compete with FSU, Gordon responded, "Nah, you ought to have one." We don't know if they caught any fish that day, but they did catch a big idea.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. Warchant.com.
So we're getting ready to come out of the damp dark coldness and into the spring, you always should want to look your best, but that's especially true when you have an opportunity to be wearing less clothing. And soon that time will be upon you. Get your fat ass over to Orange Theory Fitness and start hitting those treadmills with great vigor. You can do so and save money if you act now. Orange Theory Fitness, there's one in Midtown, and there's one on the north side over by Fresh Market. There you go. I've warned you. The warm air is coming. Fewer clothes necessary. Get it together. Orange Theory Fitness. I don't know that they've approved that approach to advertising, but I think it's probably motivating. Just hearing myself on the mic, I think it's very motivating.
You're motivating in general, but this one is one of your better reads that you've ever done. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah. Well, I think when I ad-lib, that's the way to go. Just like you can save $5 a pound on any steak right now at Social Kitchen off of Cary Forest. So go rub your meat and get set for Valentine's Day. That's another great one right out the box.
Oh, really? When you ad-lib, everybody kind of just
gets nervous.
We hang on. We're like, it's like being on a roller coaster that for the first time, you don't know where it's going. You don't know what the tricks are. Didn't watch a YouTube video about what's coming next. You just kind of hang on and you say, all right, he's going off script. Let's see how this goes.
I was looking at previous dynasties in professional football, the NFL, and you have one now in Kansas City, 2019 through 2023. That's 5 total seasons, 5 winning seasons, a winning percentage of .759. That over that stretch is the best in the NFL. You go through the appearances in the playoffs, obviously. Yes, there's 5 there. There's 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl victories. You would then begin to compare and contrast other such dynasties and say, well, where do they rank? And you have all the New England dynasty, for example. That is a lengthy one. That is 2001 to 2018. 18 seasons is insane. Those are 18 winning seasons. The winning percentage was at .764 during that time. In that stretch, far and away the highest winning percentage in the NFL. Conference championships during that time, 13 of the 18 seasons, they went to a conference championship. They won it 72% of the time. They went to 9 Super Bowls, 9, and they won 6. That's where Kansas City and everybody else is striving to get. Now, you can go back and use their opponent. And, Tom, this is where my age, once again, I'm fond of saying this, comes into play. I remember every one of these years that I'm about to mention. San Francisco, these are Super Bowl era dynasties that we're talking about. So I'm not going back to when Detroit was really good in the 40s and early 50s. This is Super Bowl era dynasties. 81 to 94, it seemed interminable that San Francisco was going to be this good, and they were. That's 14 seasons. There was a strike in there. The strike season of 82, they were 3-6. It was short. It doesn't really count. So they had 13 winning seasons there, winning percentage at .738. That was number 1 in the league during that time. They went to 9 conference championship games. They won 64% of them. Now, that's the lowest for any of the dynasties, but they had some really good competition at that time, the Giants and the Cowboys, chief amongst them. They went to 5 Super Bowls during that time, and they won 5 Super Bowls. That's 1 short in wins of New England. It is 4 short in appearances. And the only other one that you would throw in this mix, not even the Cowboys of the early 90s here, you would look at 74 to 79, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 6 seasons in total, 6 winning seasons, .766 winning percentage, best in the league, 5 conference championship games. They won 83% of their games. They went to 4 Super Bowls, and they won 4 Super Bowls. That was most assuredly the team of the 70s. So there are your dynastic organizational chart breakdown, who's what all time in there. And the Chiefs, with a quarterback that young and a defense this good, and as you put it, an opportunity to improve a lot if they go get some receivers on offense, then my goodness gracious, they could, we say it all the time. When Tom Brady retired, we were like, well, he's the GOAT. He's won 7 Super Bowl rings, 6 in New England, 1 in Tampa. And, of course, he won against Patrick Mahomes as the Bucs dominated the Chiefs. The rest of you bums, when you get a chance, you can't get it done. But not us Bucs. We beat that ass. Anyhow, having said that, he's this young. He may catch the 6 for one franchise.
Yeah, this is what greatness can do. This is the other side of it. You talk about rooting against people. It gets to a point where you root against somebody, but then you also just give them things they don't have yet. Like, it feels like he's already at 4. Like, he's going to get 4. All right. Can he get to 5? It's like when Tiger was at 8 majors. Like, well, he's going to get to 12. Is he going to get to 15? And you always assume that more is coming, because it looks like, his career winning percentage, I looked it up, is 77% in his career. Now, I don't know if that includes the playoffs or not, because if it includes the playoffs, could be nearly 80% of his games he's won since he's been a starter in the NFL. But you just assume that, again, this was a year where they were stumbling in the dark. Nothing was getting done. Brady has a Super Bowl like that where on Monday Night Football, I think it was against the Chiefs, he was so bad everybody said he's done. I think he won 3 Super Bowls after that point.
Yeah, they got blown out by, was it against the Chiefs or the Bengals?
I forget. It was Monday night. That's all. That's what I do remember. It was Monday Night Football.
And they got housed. I mean, it was a hideous game.
Yep.
Well, again, this season, you're right. This is part of what great ones do, right? They find a way in the midst of what seems to be the end or a most significant downturn. And they keep fighting. They keep playing. Play the next play and just figure it out. We'll get it figured out. Keep fighting. Don't get down after a loss. Let's figure it out. Let's learn from it. Let's go from there. And, you're running out of time, but you just keep going. And at some point, you may find it. The magic's there. You figured out the formula. Oh, this team has to do it this way. We can't do it that other way. That's not who we are. This team is very different. This team's going to win with defense first. I'm not going to have to carry the day week to week. I'll pick my moments. I still have my boy Travis Kelce. I've got a young receiver in Rashee Rice starting to emerge a little bit here. I've got a guy in Pacheco who I love. We can kind of control the ground game a little bit here and shorten some games if we need to. And I'll rely on my defense and play field position. And then when I got to make magic, I'll make magic. And he did.
The other crazy part of it is Donovan Smith now has 2 Super Bowls, and he's everybody's least favorite left tackle, and yet he's got 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, it's that speaks to me the deficiencies that were present in Kansas City this year. And if they had lost, if Diggs catches the ball in Buffalo when he's open 70 yards down the field,
you got to catch that one.
We would be talking about the disappointment from start to finish that was Kansas City's season, and what do they need to do? They're broken. How do they get fixed? But you let them hang around, and now that conversation is not going to happen. Even though this was terribly underwhelming by their standards, they still win, and that's how you get to 6 and 7. Like, again, you pointed out, some of Brady's titles weren't pretty. Hell, they beat the Rams recently 13-3. Well, Brady was lighting it up for 550 yards in the Super Bowl.
No,
this feels like that one. This feels like that kind of one for Mahomes, where it's like, yeah, all right, it's kind of whatever, but it counts.
Well, and it's especially true, though, that he lit it up in the fourth quarter in overtime, and he had a ton of rushing yards in that moment as well. He stepped up when they had to have it. He started taking off. He's like, okay, well, I guess you're going to let me win it. San Francisco fans today have to be thinking 3rd and 5, almost 2-minute warning, get the first down, game's over. We win the Super Bowl if we can get a 3rd and 5. Or if we approach it as I've got 2 downs to get 5 yards to win the Super Bowl. You know how along the way, baseball, and people were clamoring for this for years, a lot of the analytics folks were telling managers at the top of their lungs before it was ever embraced at large in baseball that the most important inning might be the 7th. It might be the 6th. It could be the 5th when you're up 4-0 and the bases are loaded with nobody out and your guy is struggling. Go get him. Put this fire out with the guy, your top closer. Go do it. He's needed now. He's a swing and miss guy, or he's a double play guy, or whatever it might be, right? And then people would say, like, you don't have to wait. You're up 5. You just walked the first 2 batters of an inning. 2 on, nobody out. It's the 7th. Screw it. We get out of this. We're winning this game. Well, it's so funny. It's like, if you're Shanahan in those moments, it's the second half. It's almost the end of the game. This is the game. This is it. I need 5 yards to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to call it differently on second down. I didn't like the second down play call, by the way. I'm going to second down, third down. I know I'm going for it on fourth down. Really, at second down, you got to say, I got 3 downs to get 5 yards. Let's go. And we're going to win the Super Bowl. If I got some crazy ass trick play that I haven't pulled out yet, I'm doing it there.
For me, it's that first possession of the third quarter. It's after the interception. That's where you win the game. You go up 17-3. Kansas City's lifeless. They. I mean, look, that's how the Bucs did it. They overwhelmed them. It was too late, and they kind of shut it down. But I'm low-key happy with Kansas City because I was very Joe Public in the apps this week. So thank you. I lost the coin toss though. I bet on tails.
I would have bet on tails as well. Hey, good work out of you, brother. I'll talk to you later. Good work, director. Thanks to all of you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Be well. Don't forget the Smash tonight, 7 o'clock, Warchant TV, myself and Ira Chaffel. Peace.